She is coming. Is her name on here? Did I call her name? Okay. Hold on. Okay. Well, I called her name. She didn't answer. So I marked her absent. Okay? Absence means you're not here, right? Is she here? She's absent. She'll have to talk to me, and if she has time to get here, we've got 10 minutes to get here. Okay? Here's somebody else. Is this Portama?
Yes.
Oh, okay, Mr. Portama. Okay, Mr. Portama, I'm going to mark you present. Okay, you have your book? Did you bring your book with you? Nice and pink book, too. Okay. All right, so let's begin with this PowerPoint. It's a map of the book, for the first chapter. The first ideas in personality. And I went in a little bit late. So the characteristics you have when you're born that come from nature and inside your biological makeup, your genes, your genetics, are all innate. You have them when you're born. And they influence your personality. And we're going to talk about that in detail. Nurture is like when you're taking care of something, even a plant. You have a plant, or you have a dog or a pet. You nurture that pet, you give it food, and to nurture it is to give it good things and it grows up. You know, a lot of the growing is natural, but you have to be taken care of too. If something negative happens, then the animal can be, or the pet or the plant can be hurt. It's the same way with humans. So the nurture comes from caregivers. Just like if you take care of a pet or a plant or something, you're giving it care. You care for that living thing. The same way for humans. Who is the basic caregiver of humans? Who? Caregivers. No, you can't read this? Okay, I will change it. G-I-V-E-R-S, caregivers. Yeah, because there's more. If you're a young baby, who can take care of a young baby? A baby can't take care of themselves, right? You have to have somebody to take care of that baby. Who's going to give the baby food and clean it when it's dirty and keep it warm when it's cold and dry when it's wet? It's a caregiver. The basic caregiver is the mother. Can you read that? Mother, yes. So mothers are considered to be basic caregivers, especially in the early parts of the life. Early parts of a young life, the mother takes care of everything. So it's not just the food, but it's also the touching and the taking care of and the cleaning and the sense of security and the good feelings. All of these form a relationship which is social. So everything that happens between the mother and the child is social. Why? Because the baby's not alone. It's beginning to move into a world that has other people. And that is, the first one is the mother. But there's also, in the social realm, besides the mother, there's also a family. So this includes the brothers, the sisters. Brothers and sisters are called siblings. siblings. You ever heard that word before? Inong, something like that? Inong as siblings. And besides the siblings, you have father, the mother, and the father. Let's put the father here. Okay, father, mother. So you have other people in your family that take care. Suppose your mother has to go to the store, and the brothers and sisters are at school, father's at work, and the mother can't take the baby. Who does she give it to? Grandmother or grandfather. So you have grandmother, grandfather, and their children, which are aunts and uncles, cousins. These are all family. This is the key word right here, family. But as we get further away from the basic caregivers, which is really number one is the mother, number two may be the father. Father and mother don't do the same thing. We'll talk about that also later. But here's just the basic idea. This is called extended family. Extended family. But why this is important? Because as your personality develops, your learning, your nurture is learned from all of these people. Are there other people in the world besides these people? Yeah, sure there are. There are peers at school. There's people, the friends you meet at school later. But they're further away. They're not considered part of your family. They're considered to be social, 100%. Peers, your same age. So you get to meet, they're part of your life too. And when you're 9 years old, 6 years old, and something like that, you still, it changes, your personality is still developing. You're still learning. Who am I? You know? Who is he? Why does he do that? Why does she do that? And you're learning these things. You don't ask questions like you do when you get older, but you're learning the meaning of all this all the time. So this is your extended family ends here, but you still begin your social life with your peers. This is the name for the people here in your classroom. You are peers together. Okay? And your other relationships with institutions like teachers, police. How about police? You don't want to have too many relationships with police, huh? That's very dangerous. But you know who they are. You learn the personality they have and the parts they play in your life. So they play a part. So all of this makes up a big picture, you know, of who we are, how we relate, and who are we in this drama of life. So this is the basic scheme that it comes from. You can open up your book. Before you do, you have to realize that what I'm trying to talk about right here, as we develop our personality through this process, the more we learn, the more we become set in our ways, in our understanding of ourselves, of our beliefs about the world, and we form a predisposition. So if we're afraid, say we're afraid of a mouse, then we're probably going to be afraid of that mouse in different places. Whenever we see a mouse, this might be part of our personality. Maybe we'll be more afraid of other animals also. So there's a predisposition to behave in a certain way. And we adjust to our environment differently than every other person. So we have different values, different attitudes begin to formulate inside of us because of these relationships and these experiences and who we are. So that's the idea. So you can get back to the definition, which we'll read from the book this time. So a little bit different, I think. Personality on the first page is a broad and comprehensive concept covering the organization of an individual's predisposition to behavior and his unique or her unique adjustment to his or her environment. So while you go through all these processes, you're adjusting to your environment. Personal characteristics, which are the things that you pick up, the personal characteristics that we're talking about, that pretty much stay the same through your whole life, are traits. Sometimes they're called traits, such as emotions, motivations, values, goals, and ways of perceiving are all aspects of personality structure. As you develop, you see the parts of the personality, and they are, you can list them here, and if you're taking notes, you can write them in your book, you can annotate the notes inside your book, or you can write them in your notebook. You should list these characteristics of personality. Now, can you pretty much read my writing, or is it too strange? On that line? Not too weird, huh? Okay, so this is what you should do for taking notes. As we go through talking about this, you should just list them. So you can, they're in your book and you can mark them there too. Characteristics of personality, again, would be the same thing as traits. It's just another word for characteristics of personality. And traits we will use to talk about other things in management. So let's get familiar with that word. Emotions. Do you have emotions?
Yes.
You think everybody has them, or just some people? Some people have them, some people don't have them? Everybody has emotions, huh? Are they kind of like, how would you describe emotions? What are they? What are they like? Feelings. Somebody said feelings? I think that's right. I think you can just summarize it as feelings. Sometimes your emotions can be strong, sometimes not so strong, you know? Jiron is emotions too, huh? That's when you show your emotion to someone else. And you jiron. Motivations. And this is basically using your energy inside of yourself directed outwards to do something. So we can call this to be effort. We can say it's an effort. And you can just put that word there. It's not a complete definition, but it gives you an idea. So you can research this word for your vocabulary. I can promise you they're going to be on a test. Values. Can someone tell me what if I say value, what does that mean? Value. What does it mean? Something is good, okay? So if something is good, it's a good value. If something's bad, it's a bad value. Can you have a bad value? Yeah, in a way you can. So the way we want to describe it, we want to describe value as the sense of what's important to you. Okay? So what's important to you is to maybe be late for class. Suppose that's important. You like to be late for class. You don't have the motivation or the energy to come on time. Then your value is it good or bad to be on time or late? If you're late for class, is that a good value? No, it's not. It shows you don't have the energy to direct, to make your way through class straight and get here on time. So we're going to talk about values as important. And we'll notice something about this. Everybody's different, right? Somebody may have strong feelings, somebody may have gyron, somebody may have different. So emotions are different in every person. So when we start saying we know ourselves because of personality, we're really saying something that's very important. This is how we tell each other apart. The same way as your face looks different, your personality looks different. Actually, your personality is more significant than your face, in a way. I'm not going to say 100%. But when I go to say to you in the morning, good morning, I never say good morning to the face, to your face, good morning to the face of Miss Paula Nunn. I say good morning, Miss Paula Nunn. I'm speaking to you, not your face. It's like everybody knows inside of us there is a person. You know, it's not our face, it's not our feet, it's not our hands. It's a person just like us. So now we're talking about personality. Emotion, motivation, values, goals. And this, now you've been studying management for 2 years already, huh? PET So you can read some P. 1 year. This is PT song. So song P. Okay, so goals. This is where you can talk about this in management in terms of your objectives. And even though everybody in this classroom is in tourist management, there's things that you want that are different. Some people are interested in traveling, some people are interested in hospitality, some people are interested in a variety of different things. So even if we get in a small group like this, we'll find that there's different interests, different objectives. And this is the big one, really, ways of perceiving. Okay, it's in your book, Ways of Perceiving, the last way. We see things differently. We all have a point of view. And if you don't take the introduction to psychology, but we study sensation and perception, and this is the idea that from the point of view that we see things, we see them differently, just naturally. So we form our conclusions, we put all these things together, and we see things and we see the world differently. Maybe not 100% differently, but differently. So these are the characteristics of personality, and if you're taking your notes, you should follow this habit while we're having a class and lecture in class to write these important things down. Of course, you can mark them in your book, highlight them, and make little notes like these notes. But it's good to keep your notes in a separate book also. Okay, there's another concept here about development, personality development. So we've gone through how does all these things develop, and we mentioned it before. Personality develops according to the development of the physical body. From a baby, when the baby is born, if it's what's normal, 4 kilos? How about that? About 4 kilos. Maybe in 2 months, it's 8 kilos. That's 100% different. 100%. Never grow that fast again if they live to be 100 years old. The bigger you get, the older you get, the less you add to yourself. The fastest you grow is when you're young, very young, baby. So that baby, if the brain weighed only like 1 kilo, then all of a sudden it's 2 kilos. The brain is twice the size. That means the baby's abilities are getting more and more all the time. All the ways that people develop, they develop in a way that they reach an ability level. A baby, when the baby's first born, it cannot crawl. It cannot walk. But as it gets bigger, it has the ability to crawl. And that baby will discover you don't have to teach a baby how to crawl, right? You put them on a blanket on the floor and it will learn how to crawl. In a few months, it can crawl. And when it's time to walk, the baby stands up and walks. Of course, they watch, they can see people, they're human beings. You know, they're the smartest people on the earth. Smartest creatures on the earth. They can walk, and they all do it at the same time. So about a year, 11 months, maybe 12 months, they start walking. In 2 years, they start talking. So this is all part of their ability to think, to see, to feel, to motivate, and even a sense of importance. Anything that might be directed by the body will know. You know, it's time to walk. They know. But it's kind of a mystery. There's a lot of these things that develop that's a mystery, and even like language. People are still trying to find out why is it so easy for children to learn languages. But when you get older, like you're very old now, right? It's very hard to learn language. But you learn just learn like this. All of a sudden you're talking like a genius, really. Really. You can't teach people to learn another language that fast when they get to be 17, 18 years old. So there's something going on in the physical development of the body that makes the body ready to learn the next step. The next step. So that's called development. Development is a complex process that integrates the internal, what's inside and outside in the environment, over the lifespan of the individual. So this kind of development goes on all your life. You have the ability to develop up until the time that you die. Now, development is slow, and early development is the most dramatic development, but even later in life, a lot of people today go back to the university. If maybe they were a successful engineer, they go back to be a doctor. Maybe if they were a doctor, there's something they always wanted to do in their life, they go back to school and become a lawyer, an attorney. So these things continue on for your life. You have the ability to develop yourself. Right now, for yourself, as juniors in the university, you are involved in the process of personal development, where you're going to improve yourself. This is your opportunity to improve yourself. So living inside that existence here at the university, where you are matching yourself with your environment and developing yourself. So let's continue. This picture isn't here because it's a mask, and I wanted you to point this idea out to you, that personality is often described as a persona. It's the part of ourselves that we show because we don't want to show the full inside of ourselves. There's a part inside of ourselves that's part of ourselves that we know that nobody else really knows. It's difficult to communicate. So we look at this as our persona is what we show to each other. Okay, and this is used a lot in art and literature to describe personality. Okay, so I'm going to give you a copy of this PowerPoint, and you'll be able to look at it. This is in your book too. Aspects and characteristics of personality is emotions, motivation, values, perceptions, and goals. These are all individual characteristics. They're different in every person, so when we say they're individual, we mean that we all have them, but not exactly the same way. Emotions, we've gone through this already. There's different kinds of feelings. Strong emotions could be considered maybe hot, anger, aggression, associated with violent behavior, and uncontrollable. When people are emotionally driven, a lot of times they can't control their behavior. And then you can have cool emotions also. It could be seen as a thinking process. Now this is what emotions you learn quickly as you're young, and the environment you're in. You learn how to use your feelings to learn about the world. In school you learn about how to engage your thinking process. This is cool emotions because it doesn't involve, it's not emotions, it's cool, well you can't say cool emotions, but the idea is that it's not hot. And it gives you the idea to deliberate, to reflect. This is thinking. To think about things before you act. Before you have a chance for your emotions to get out of control. So this is just an idea here about how development can lead you into two different behavior responses. To reflect and be cool and slow about your behavior, or to be quick and hot and maybe emotional. Values refer to the importance a person places on the personal and non-personal objects, including people. So our values are values towards things in our lives and people in our lives. And it's a level of importance. Everyone's values are different. Even though we're in a group where the group is the most important thing to us, there's still differences inside the group. So we have differences in our values. In a big sense, you can look at values in personality in terms of selfishness, perhaps. How do you say that in Thai? Selfishness. Can't get to it. Something like that. Can't get to the mic up? No. Nobody here. I'm not. So sometimes we don't judge ourselves the same way. Sometimes everybody can be selfish a little bit sometimes, and then maybe not. So personality is very flexible in many ways. It's good because it's only when it's not flexible that it can become problems. Altruism is a word you need to learn the vocabulary, talking about values and selfishness. Altruism is the opposite of selfishness. It's behavior that places a high value on people and is an action of helping other people. Being helpful, even at your own expense. Perceptions. Perception is assigning meaning, but we form perceptions by evaluating our experiences and our environment. So we use something that we have learned to come into the classroom and say, okay, this classroom I like, it feels good, and there's one upstairs that every time I walk in that room it doesn't feel right. There's some perception in there that tells us that we can accept something or we can't. We assign a meaning. So when we see the mouse is not dangerous to us, but it may frighten us. So something has helped us form a meaning of that mouse is dangerous, even though it's not. Okay? An interruption of our senses, such as sight, sound, tasting, and feeling, can assign a meaning to some particular experience. It also can be seen as a process of awareness. This is how we know what is around us, by our perceptions. We can perceive things differently from reality. Sometimes we're right in our perception, sometimes we're not. we perceive things to be fair or unfair. That's according to our values and our system of perception. But maybe other people may not see it the same way as us. So perceptions in a general sense, remember it like this, is to assign meaning. This is the way we assign meaning in our lives to things. Motivation is a basic energy available to us to act. If our energy is tied up in psychological activity, we may not have the energy to study or work. So you've heard about people who think too much, so maybe that's what's meant right here is for you to be free for your energy. If you can have all the energy in the world, but if it doesn't move out of you in a direct path towards a goal, then it's not as bad. It doesn't produce good results as much. Motivation can also be seen as the ability to strive for the things we value. So we set our goals of what's important to us, what our values are, and we use our energy and our efforts to achieve these goals. When we're successful, it gives us more energy to improve our lives. It's the reason we have for doing things. So a motive is a noun that refers to the reason that we do things. Goals are objectives that are outside ourselves, that give us directions and meaning in life. A lot of times we think of this as incentives, but it may not be just incentives. We may receive benefits from social interactions. It might not be an incentive. This is a natural part of our personality to engage with people. We have general goals like survival. We do that so we can live. Reproduction, happiness, are all ideas that we have in our mind for doing things. Okay. The next idea in the book is factors that influence personality. Now, this is not written up here. I'm not going to write it on the board. You can see it off the PowerPoint. Factors that influence personality. Biology, we mentioned this already. This is biology in itself is a major factor. This is what's not going to change. This is going to develop through your life, but it's not going to really change. You're always going to have the same genetics, the same basic abilities in many ways. You can reach your highest ability. Maybe even go above it in some ways by compensating and finding ways, ingenious ways to achieve things. But the basic levels are set by a lot of your biology. At least this is the theory and the belief. Experiences. Okay, so what I'm going to do, just to make this so there's no confusion, I'm going to take these off. Now you should have this concept, this idea about personality as a construct that we built that has to do with biological and experiential experiences, learning and nature, innate and nurture. Okay? Let's take another aspect of personality that's important. 4 different factors that affect influence. Personality. Okay. Biology, you know already. Basically, it's been proven in many, many ways that some people have different abilities than other people. For instance, and what I mean by this is not skill. As a manager now, you should know the difference between skill and ability. But an ability is something that you have an ability to do. Now, people's bodies are different. If you have an ability to be a fast runner, you may go to the Olympics to run in a race to be the fastest person in the world. So ability to do that is in your body. Some people just can't run fast, okay? Maybe their legs are too small, or they're not balanced just right. And they can work, and they can work, and work, and work, and work, and they can reach their level of ability to run. But they can't win the Olympics. Because their ability is limited by their biology. So this is a limiting factor in many ways. It is limiting in many ways. But to the person who can run very fast, they can develop skills that help them run even better. But if they don't have the ability, then all the skills in the world is not going to help them win the Olympics. So this is one of the basic ideas that's talked about in your book. So biology is one of the things that sets limits on your abilities for your personality to develop and for you to develop in certain ways. Other factors is culture. This is another factor. And this is the environment that you grow up in, the rules, and the environment that you grow up in. So, and what I want to point out right here, I don't want to go into detail too much, there's a lot to talk about here. There's two basic distinctions in culture in the world. Do you know what they are? Two basic kinds of cultures. Yeah, somebody knows. Say again? Traditional culture. Okay, but traditional culture would be different in every. Okay, so you might not know this, but you should know it in international management courses about culture. It's either going to be individualistic, individual culture, which is a sense of a Western culture, where the importance of the individual is the focus. It focuses on the importance of the individual inside the culture, inside the society. All of the rules and that are based on interaction, interrelation, are based on individual ideas. Okay? And then there's a collective. Collective cultures. So this is where the group is the most important aspect. So everyone has the same concept on how to relate to each other inside a collective. And individuals, they're always looking at the one individual in different situations who can control the situation or individualistically achieve. Where basically in collective societies, people achieve together. It's more of a group concept. And there's a lot of differences in the way people see time. How much time that went by, the way you feel about time. Because the culture puts limitations on your perceptual abilities to see things, and it opens up other areas for you to see differently. So these are the two basic cultural ideas. We can talk about this in terms of personality. Experiences basically, what we're going to talk about here in terms of personality is that people have different experiences that affect their personality. One thing that we could say that's obvious, there's more examples in the book, but if a person has an accident when they're a child, and say they lose their arm, and they don't have an arm, well, they're going to be limited in development because they won't be able to play sports the same way other people do, or they may have other types of obstacles to overcome. So different experiences like illnesses, illnesses like being sick or something and not being able to develop. There's different, how about socioeconomic levels? This is experiences. This is in every social economics. This is in every society. It doesn't matter if it's individual or collective. People who have money have access to many, many things, and people who don't do not have access. So people who have these experiences have different effects on their personality. Okay? Thank you. In situations. Within the situations we learn about our society and about how to deal with our feelings, our emotions, our biology, all the things that we have a chance to do within situations. Being able to succeed in our situations gives us a chance, a sense of power. Not being able to succeed can result in frustration. So how we deal with situations determines some parts of our personality. We'll talk more about that after the break. Okay? Take a break, get some water. Okay.